What was that beep, beep, beep? Oh, that's your phone.
Yeah, that's my phone. I keep freaking out. I'm thinking, oh, great, our power went out again. Hello?
Our power?
No, I keep thinking it's
No.
the exact same beep.
So there you have it, folks. Lots of media coverage on what probably is somewhat a sad event, and I guess I'll feel sad later on. I mean, I've been fighting for 14 years, and I never expect 9 men like angels to come down with a magic wand and change the political landscape just because I was lucky enough to get to the Supreme Court and ask them, or to pay for a case that went to the Supreme Court to ask them. So, again, today is no worse than yesterday. We have to still strap on our battle armor and wage war with prohibitionists like we always have. This is not so much a setback as merely a disappointment. A setback would be if the law gets worse. And what we're going to see with the Paul Martin Liberals is the law will get worse, and that penalties for growers will increase, and then the risk factor, the fear factor, the paranoia factor will get worse if the Paul Martin Liberals are allowed to bring new legislation into the government. So it's very important that all Canadians watching get involved with the New Democratic Party federally and Jack Layton, and join the NDP today. Go to the nomination meetings when you find out about them. Get involved in the next political election. Vote for the NDP. Give money. And in the United States, support the Democratic presidential hopeful Dennis Kucinich, who also is advocating an end to the marijuana prohibition, the war on drugs. He has a very articulate and comprehensive position. Please go to his website, www.kucinich.gov, I believe, or .org. You can check on it on the POT TV websites. Please get involved with the Dennis Kucinich Democratic primary campaign. There's only 3 months to get involved, and it's very, very vitally important that our American friends get involved in the political process. Do not let the cynicism and negativity of decisions like this, of the Supreme Court of Canada, influence you to not be involved in politics. We now must explore all our political options. That means running at the federal level, especially in the next federal election expected to be called this spring. Paul Martin is a very dangerous man to the cannabis community. He is very much a George Bush sympathizer. He would definitely like to go out of his way to make the Americans appeased. And this is a powerful force in Canada that the United States government exercises over the Canadian government. Paul Martin is much greater inclined to go along with prohibitionist policies. His tendency is to crack down on marijuana growers and impose mandatory minimums on them. So it's very important that you don't get cynical, continue to write letters, continue to get involved. My behavior won't change one iota. I get up every day and strap on the battle armor, and I go into work opposing prohibition in all its forms, in every way I can, with my money, with my lifeblood, with my words, with my deeds, and you have to do the same thing too. So I'm not sure if there's even more to add. What did you say, Richard, when you were on?
Well,
what's your take? We don't have the 400-page. It's a 400-page decision. I guess you need a lot of page. Well, the dissenting argument.
No, of course, yes.
And later on, we'll be giving you some details of the transcripts of the dissenting arguments. When I was there in May, I felt that we had 3 Supreme Court justices on our side, and the very 3 that seemed sympathetic to us were the 3 that, in fact, wrote the dissenting argument that favors legalization. And I'm looking forward to seeing that material. I'm sure we'll have a lot of criticism about the 6 judges and their decision to support the government's position. Of course, it would be unconstitutional in all likelihood to criminalize tobacco and or alcohol, which are very dangerous substances. And of course, people often say that, well, do you think marijuana is a gateway drug? And I say, it doesn't matter if marijuana is a gateway drug. It doesn't matter if marijuana is as harmful as alcohol or as harmful as tobacco or any other dangerous legal substances. The point being is that no one should go to jail because something they put inside their body might be potentially harmful. It's a crazy, crazy system we've got where people need to be doubly and triply punished for mistakes that may be perceived as errors in a lifestyle choice.
Well, I think that the key thing that we need, again, the old saying goes, devil's in the detail, God's in the details. Well, the rulings of the lower courts that have gone up there, all of the findings of fact have been in our favor.
Yeah.
And I think that they have basically said that, the laws are based on fallacies, but as Mary Southam, this judge here,
the BC Court of Appeal Justice,
who, by the way, is a tobacco addict whose office had a special ventilation system put in it so she could smoke tobacco. She says that she thought the laws were stupid, but basically the Parliament has the right to be stupid.
Yeah. And that's been upheld.
Yeah, and yes, and so what we're really looking at here is that defined in the ruling what it says to the Parliament in terms of the findings of fact. And the timing on this, in one sense, could not have been better. And that is because the Parliament is gearing up to rush through this phonic decrim bill that will be, in fact, an Organized Crime Subsidy Act. And so that the idea is that suddenly they've got this court decision, which the prohibitionists are going to say, oh, this proves that marijuana is a dangerous addictive drug, whatever, the usual line. Yeah. But what it really is going to depend on is what the court says there, that this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. But the Parliament, it's incumbent upon the Parliament to act. And
that was the overall gist I gathered from the faraway correspondents, are saying that they had hoped that Parliament would go further and decriminalize it, so that the court believed that decriminalization or depenalization was a good thing, and that Parliament was the only agent capable of introducing that, which is a terrible thing because our charter, of course, is designed to protect life, liberty, and the security of the person, and we're not secure when every 6 minutes someone gets arrested for a cannabis offense in Canada.
This really, in terms of I had said that I really thought we'd win on personal possession because I thought that it's very clear in the charter, but I thought they would defer to Parliament on the sales part of the thing, but they're going to defer to Parliament on all of it. So I think that this is basically, the message that goes up to the Parliament is, we'll have to read the decision and the dissenting opinions as well.
Well, I'm sorry to say we don't have a big party to give you where we were. I did have a fantasy that we'd all be partying in the streets and smoking lots of great pot and what have you.
We do that anyway.
Yeah, we do that. And remember, it's still legal on the 300 block of West Hastings in Vancouver, like it's always been. And so we encourage you to come down to the 300 block in West Hastings and commiserate with us with a bong hit. And I mean, let's face it, if there weren't Nazis in Ottawa and Washington, what the hell would we do?
Yeah,
so on one hand, my future is secure.
Well, it was funny. It was David this morning before the decision came in, and he was optimistic. He says, this may be the last illegal joint that I'll smoke. And I suddenly realized that would be taking all the fun out of it.
Well, no, it wouldn't. I'm sure we'd all have lots of fun.
I'm sure we would.
Yeah, I'm afraid.
But I think, there is something, that's a joke, but there is in a sense something to that, in the sense that we have and we are, and we will continue to be, in the sense of the happy warriors, in the sense that we have to continue this fight. And in the American expression, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness are basically fundamental human rights. And this was something which I'm afraid that the Canadian Supreme Court failed to recognize. But on the other hand, as you said earlier, if we had won, the battle would go on.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
they would be up there. I guarantee you.
Parliament would stall
and try and they would define decriminalization as possession of half a joint, and that that you could sell it if you were surrounded by heavily armed guards. This sort of bad way to make a bad law worse, and they've been doing very well with that, for example, in medical. Now, one of the things I want to see in the fine print is if they in any way address the medical issues here, because this is something that was not a part of these three cases, and I was in hopes that he might go beyond the issues presented in these cases and say something about medical. Now, there are other medical cases working their way up.
Right, Grant Krieger's due to go to the Supreme Court.
But the fact is the Canadian government has simply refused to obey lower court rulings.
Yep. Well, it's disappointing, and we'll probably be signing off now. We were going to carry the victory party all day long if that's how it went. But there's no point in giving you more ammunition to feed your Kleenex habit there and crying in your cannabis.
I'll be posting an analysis of all this on marijuananews.com sometime tomorrow, probably.
Yeah,
and we may follow up here with an analysis if we get once we get the fine print. And also, John Conroy, John's coming in. If John comes in, we'll have a.
We're getting it now to all the 400-page report. Any final words to our audience out there?
Well, I think Mark is right. This changes nothing because the battle was going to go on one way or the other.
Absolutely.
So back to work.
This is Richard Cowan and Mark Emery signing off on a disappointing day, but after all, we're still alive, we're still breathing, we're still at large, we're still out of jail, which is a lot better than hundreds of thousands of other people, including our friends like Todd McCormick.
Todd, by the way, is in a halfway house in L.A. now.
I understand that.
Some good news.
Michael Patriquin gets out hopefully in a month or two in Nova Scotia. So slowly but surely, they all get let out of jail, mostly. And we hope they're all amongst us soon, and we hope we can say it large. And we hope you come down to the 300 block of West Hastings, the BC Marijuana Party.